Tiny Milk Community Day just occurred yesterday, and I decided, I wanted to try out Eelektross. I mean, I usually try to, I don't always do it, but I occasionally like to try out the Community Day Pokemon in some sort of Go Battle League format, and I was thinking Ultra League might be a good option for Eelektross, because I feel like Ampharos does pretty good in this format, and yeah, electric types like Galvantula can do pretty decent as well. And honestly, Eelektross has some pretty diverse options for its move pool. So there's a lot of different ways you can run it. And I decided to optimize. I guess the way I was looking at the way I built this team was using Acid Spray as bait and then Crunch to just kind of land hits on things like Skeledirge, Giratina, and yeah, just kind of like, I mean, the fact that most people are not going to know what my moveset is probably the advantage in itself. Maybe I can trick some people and get that acid spray bait. But I decided to put in Poliwrath and Annihilape, not for any, I guess, I don't know. I just kind of threw this together, let's be real. I didn't use much guidance with PV Poke to make the team. Just figured, well, Poliwrath and Annihilape are both pretty good. Maybe having something like Eelektross to beat some shields could be a good combination with the two, because I have debuffers between Acid Spray and Icy Wind on Poliwrath. I don't know, it worked out alright. I guess that's why this video is here today. One, to showcase Eelektross and the many diverse ways, well, one of the diverse ways you could run it. I mean, you don't have to run Acid Spray at all on Eelektross. You could just run pure coverage. You can learn Liquidation. You can run I think like Dragon Claw is also another option you can be using on it, which is actually pretty good with all the dragon types running around in this format. But as you can see, I get the Giratina, and I'm gonna just throw Crunch first, just to show this Giratina I mean business. And I get the defense drop, which is pretty nice. The thing about this is they don't want to take a second Crunch, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to just throw Acid Spray. And of course they're gonna shield, which is great for me. And from here, I think I decide to double shield, thinking, well, more than likely I'm going to get the double shield at this point also. So I throw the Crunch, and they actually just let it go, which is fine. In comes Ampharos. And this is actually kind of tough because I don't really have a great answer for this Pokemon. And it does have Thunder Punch, which is not looking too good. I'm hoping to get an attack drop with Scald here. And unfortunately that isn't the case. I'm gonna I think I bring in Annihilape here. Or yeah, I bring in Annihilape and I'm getting smacked with I think a Brutal Swing? Yeah, Brutal Swing. And yeah, I guess at this point, knowing that I have to take 2 Brutal Swings, I figured, maybe I should try to generate a little bit of extra energy. I could have gotten a little bit more here. And I throw the Ice Punch. And in the back is Greninja. And the thing that's kind of interesting here is I probably should have tried to catch a move as opposed to playing this how I did. I should have generated a little bit of extra energy on Annihilape, switched in, caught the Night Slash, and tried to throw a Shadow Ball into Greninja, and maybe this could have been a win still. I mean, the Greninja resists the Ghost moves, but being Greninja, I think maybe that could have been, I don't know the exact calc of Shadow Ball into Greninja, but I think that would have just been a better pathway overall. Alright, so my opponent switches in Cresselia, Cresselia here. And honestly, not like the worst case scenario. I'm gonna like stay in, and I'm gonna go for a Crunch, the show I mean business. I go for Acid Spray on the second time, and they do actually shield, which I thought was kind of beneficial. I think they maybe could have lived that second Crunch. I'm going to take that Future Sight and generate the energy, and then I'll just throw Crunch. And I think the shield does appear here. No, they just let Cresselia go, that's right. In comes Skeledirge, and yeah, pretty much I'm going to bring in Poliwrath on the Skeledirge. They bring in for Alligator, which is honestly not that big of a deal for me. And yeah, I'm just gonna have to like chip as much damage as I possibly can. I want to go for Scald over Icy Wind here just to get off more damage. The attack drop isn't as big, I feel like, as much as just getting HP away. So I remove it from the field, and from here I can just barely get to the Icy Wind, and the Skeledirge does actually, I guess they're not counting properly, so they assumed it may have been a Scald. So that works out really good for me because now I can just bring in Annihilape and go for a Shadow Ball. And even if this, I knew they were going to bait with Disarming Voice, so I decided to take the first move, and it pays off because that's exactly what goes on. And then I can just connect this Shadow Ball into Skeledirge here, so that's a GG. Yeah, tough. This was my very first set using Eelektross. So I get a Virizion lead, not the best case scenario. I don't really have many good options for the switch, and I guess I could have brought in Annihilape as a safe swap, potentially, but I decided to just stay in with Eelektross, go for Acid Spray, I think that was. And yeah, honestly, not really doing much overall here, so I'm just gonna kind of let Eelektross go. And I think I bring Annihilape in, trying to get some damage off with the defense drop. But they instantly swap into Muck, which is a great call. I decided to take the Dark Pulse. Maybe I should have shielded that, but I decided to take it and I throw a Shadow Ball. And from here, it's looking kind of bad because now I got to commit another shield, and they do just bait me with the Thunder Punch. And they're going to make another good call as well, and I don't think they shield this, allowing... Oh no, they do shield, never mind. They do shield that, and I bring in Poliwrath, I guess thinking I'm already like behind. I don't really have a great scenario. They could just farm Annihilape at that point, I feel. So yeah, I guess I just tried to think like maybe I can just go for a straight farm down and somehow I'll miraculously have a good matchup in the back. Unfortunately, it is Greninja in the back, and this isn't looking too good for me because regardless of that, I mean, this is not enough to take out Virizion. They can just farm me down. So that's pretty much going to be GG. The thing that's kind of interesting though was technically it looked like I could have made it to the Icy Wind, maybe just barely. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was lost. Next battle. Also, if you're enjoying this video, definitely consider hitting that like button. It does help my content out a lot. So I get the Goodra lead and I safe swap. Or no, I got the Primarina lead, excuse me. And I safe swap in my Poliwrath in on the Goodra. And it is a Power Whip variant, so I have to be careful about that. I'm gonna commit the shields regardless, just because winning switch here might be more valuable. But I actually thought, I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I thought they might try to bait me here. And yeah, they just removed my Poliwrath. So that made this situation a little more difficult for me, but I guess it works out because they, for some reason, they feel pressured by the Annihilape getting energy. So they switch in Primarina and lock it in. So I actually can just switch in Eelektross to finish up Primarina. And then from there, I crunch directly into the Goodra. And then they have Skeledirge in the back. So it kind of makes sense why they played it the way they did, I suppose. I mean, they didn't want Annihilape to have too much energy. But to be fair, they would have been better off just not switching and just getting alignment back with Primarina. So GG there. I think that was a 3-2 set to start the video. And yeah, let's jump into the next one. Amazing lead from me, Pidgeot. So a battle like this is more just maintaining. As long as I have a decent switch in to their safe swap, this, a lot of times, it's just going to be maintaining the battle. So it is a Snarl variant, and it throws Gunk Shot immediately. Makes sense. I just wanted to fish and see what type of moveset it was running. Even if it was Gunk Shot, I knew I could at least live one. And they decided to just let it go, which, you know, I didn't think it mattered, but them getting the energy was kind of scary, I will admit. I was like, dang, no way, like... I just barely missed getting that Icy Wind, and now this Venusaur is so far ahead in energy. But to be fair, even with Annihilape here, I can take at least one Frenzy. So it kind of equalizes it slightly, just because they are kind of afraid of the Ice Punch. And this is where they kind of make the biggest mistake, I feel, is when they decide to switch out the Venusaur matchup. And yeah, I think they're pretty much made it guaranteed that I'd be able to win this battle, because now I have that energy still locked in on Annihilape, and I can just kind of focus on keeping energy preserved on Eelektross, knowing that even if they're going for Feather Wind, it doesn't matter at all. Like, it's actually better for me that they did that as opposed to something else. So I go for Acid Spray first, just to lower the defenses, and now I'm gonna go for a Crunch, and yeah, just switch into Annihilape and go for the Ice Punch immediately, and that's gonna be the GG now that the shield's down. The next battle, a Venusaur lead. What a menace right now against my team. So I decided to stay in and just go straight Crunch, because it does, it's not a lot of damage, but it still does a decent chunk. It's better than maybe just switching out and losing the switch. So I shield once with the Frenzy, and I go for Acid Spray here thinking maybe they will shield, and that is exactly what happened. So that does work out in my favor, fortunately. And from here, I do commit the shield knowing that I can at least maybe potentially get a second shield. But they ended up switching in Empoleon, and instead of trying to generate some energy and switching, I decided it's more beneficial to just immediately switch into Poliwrath because of the Drill Peck on Empoleon. I can only afford to get hit by it once. So we're just gonna do that. I'll save my energy for Venusaur coming back in, and they decided to let it go. In the back is Charizard. So I decided to go for Scold here, and I probably should have just baited because they were more than likely going to shield. But I was pretty fortunate that I did get the attack drop. So I wasn't too afraid at this point, knowing that it has Blast Burn and Dragon Claw. So with an attack drop, it's not like I can just one-shot Annihilape. So as you can see, Dragon Claw doesn't really do a lot of damage here. And Blast Burn, double Blast Burn could have been very frightening, but fortunately for me, they didn't really decide to do that. Maybe they felt like they need to keep some energy preserved here on Charizard. And in the end, it just ends up working out because they can't generate enough energy. I mean, if they would have double Blast Burn Annihilape, to be fair, it would have been like game also with Eelektross. All right, next battle. Another pretty good lead with Tapu Fini here. They switch in the Giratina, and I decided to stay in just for a moment and throw the Crunch because I did see the advantage of doing so. And getting the defense drop is just insult to injury, because now the Icy Wind that I have is going to be a little bit more threatening than it already was. I'm just going to take the moves from Giratina Origin into, Giratina Altered Form, excuse me. I can take these moves relatively easily, and they do commit the shield. So I will shield once as well, just to trade a shield, and from there I'm going to generate a slight amount of energy. They do end up just switching to catch the move, but I'm okay with that. I mean, yeah, they waste my energy, but I also weaken Tapu Fini's attack, which is actually pretty beneficial in this scenario. I'm going to go for the Acid Spray. They make a call, a good call. That definitely put me behind a little bit. I was a little nervous that maybe that was a bad thing for me. They're going to bring Giratina here. I'm going to throw the Crunch immediately. This will equalize the fight, but they decided to preserve their shield for Cresselia here in the back. And I'm going to throw the Crunch because it is going to do a decent chunk regardless. And from here, it really is kind of a tough battle. I think what I decided to do is I'm thinking maybe I could catch a move on Poliwrath. That's kind of my goal. I know I could take maybe one Moonblast if that's what it is. It is Moonblast, so I do take the one Moonblast. I'm going to make a risky call and actually go for the bait move. And fortunately, they do shield, and I make the call to switch in Poliwrath. I do catch the Grass Knot, and that pretty much seals the deal for me. Being able to bait there was huge, and now I can connect the Shadow Ball into Cresselia and finish up the battle. GG. Alright, so Shadow for Alligator lead, and then in comes Skeledirge. So I decided to stay in and just throw Crunch first, and then I think I bring in Poliwrath here. I stayed in a little too long. Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, this is kind of a mistake on my end, the way I played it. But I guess the way I was looking at it was, I can actually kind of deal with for Alligator with Poliwrath as well. This is where I actually make the wrong call though. Like I knew that was that could have been a Shadow Ball. I should have just shielded, knowing that they more than likely were going to throw the nuke at that point. I think that may have been one of the biggest flips of this situation. Because in this now, I'm going to switch in Poliwrath just to take a move, which is good, but then they have their own Annihilape in the back. Yeah, it's kind of like a just... Honestly, I don't know if it really made much of a difference. I feel like maybe it was better that I didn't commit my shield. But yeah, it pretty much becomes like a nail biter here, and they make a good call. I think they don't shield this. Oh no, they do shield that, excuse me. But they can get the farm down on Poliwrath. That's exactly what happens here. And it doesn't really matter with the attack drop. Shadow Ball is still going to be enough here to remove Annihilape. My Annihilape. So, yeah, I don't know if I could really... I don't know if shielding would have made a big of a difference. Maybe if I would have taken the Disarming Voice and called the shield on the Shadow Ball. But at that point, it's just kind of like luck that I made those decisions there. Alright, so the old Volt Switch user of... I mean, it's still a good Pokemon. It's not that it's old. One of the classic Volt Switch users versus the new coming in. And I think this battle actually kind of justifies Eelektross a bit in this matchup because, I mean, they make really good calls. They're like, this person's really trying to represent the Ampharos, and they're like, yo, Ampharos is still the best Volt Switch user in the format. How dare you bring this Eelektross and try to use it against me? But yeah, this was kind of scary because they were pretty much not falling for any... I wasn't getting any shields and taking a lot of damage in the process. But interesting enough in this scenario, because of the acid spray into Dragonite, it actually makes these counters hurt way more. And being a shadow variant too, the damage is just racking up. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out in my favor for Eelektross. I just kind of go down without getting anything productive going on. I mean, regardless, I couldn't have really done much. But the thing that really seals the deal for this battle is the fact that my opponent, I think they are like thinking their win con should be, I just need to get the shield and then I have a move locked and I'll throw it. But they, for some reason, refuse to throw any move aside Acid Spray. And because that's what they decided to do, I actually end up winning this battle because I didn't shield it all there and I can just counter down on Dragonite, which is actually insane. But yeah, GG's to all my opponents, and if you enjoyed this, definitely consider subscribing for more Go Battle League content. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the Sass Squad's getting stronger each and every day. You have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. And if you'd like to watch more Go Battle League content from me, consider watching this video right here or this video right here.